Welcome to Living Outside the Box. My name is Ben Bowman, and this is a podcast of Outside the Box Consulting. I'm so glad for you to continue this journey of learning what it means to lead and live outside the box. Today, I want for us to look at the third component of what it means to be a transformational leader. There are four components total that make up a fully formed and effective transformational leader. We've discussed the first two, and there may be future episodes about those because it's always worth learning more about. But the first component is inspirational motivation. How a leader lives in such a way that their life and the way that they lead inspires others to be leaders as well. The second component we've looked at most recently is idealized influence, looking at how the way the leader uses their trust that they build with their followers to guide and direct and encourage and support those who follow them. This third component is called individualized consideration. Now, that's a big fancy word for understanding the unique gifts and abilities of those that the leader is leading. Understanding their unique gifts and abilities. It's also understanding the unique challenges that each individual might be facing in their personal and professional lives. Individualized consideration is really understanding the whole person. As an educator, I've understood individualized consideration in multiple ways, but most notably, and one that's probably most familiar to all those of you listening, is for teachers to understand the unique gifts and challenges of their students, whether their students are gifted academically or whether they face certain challenges academically, and how the teacher can scaffold their learning, how they can build exercises and activities that will promote the continued academic acceleration of gifted learners, and how they can also scaffold and build support for those learners who need a little extra encouragement and help. But individualized consideration in the workplace, in an organization, whether it's a secular or religious organization, is so much more than understanding the academic abilities of the individual. It is understanding their creativity and their gifts in a certain workspace. It's understanding their challenges that they might be walking through that impact how they engage the work that they're given. It's understanding them as a whole person, whether they're an introvert or an extrovert, whether they are a team player or they're great on an individual or one-on-one basis, whether they have creative, like artistic creative abilities, or whether they're well-spoken, their intelligence types, their personality types, and yes, their ability to process information and take it and grow in their ability to become future leaders. Individualized consideration is a lot, and it's a lot for a leader to take on, because it means that the leader has to get to know very well each individual under their leadership. And it's contingent upon trust. It's contingent upon that second characteristic, that second component of transformational leadership, which is idealized influence, building that trusting relationship between the leader and the follower. If a follower does not trust a leader, they are not going to show that leader their strengths and weaknesses because there is no relationship there. But when a follower does trust a leader, then walls come down, there's a bit of vulnerability, and the leader will be allowed to know those things that are weaknesses and those things that are strengths for the follower. I remember my first year teaching overseas, and a student that I had in a class that had some learning challenges. And this student, when it came time for the very first unit test in this class, sat at his desk and was just absolutely perplexed. I could see the frustration on his face as he pored over the test and held his head in his hands. And there was no forward momentum. There was no writing. There was no effort. Not because he didn't want to put forth effort, but there was nothing happening on the paper because he was so caught up in his thoughts. And I remember sitting down across the desk from him and gently and quietly saying, "What's going on?" And he said to me that he had studied for this test and studied hard. It was one of his favorite subjects. And he could not remember anything that he'd studied. And so I took his test away from him and turned it over so that it was the blank side of the last page of the exam. And I said, "Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me everything that you remember." And of course he's doing this quietly because there's people in the room that are taking the exam. And so he's telling me quietly the things that he remembers. And as he is, I'm just writing down every word he says on the back of the exam. When he's done, I turned the exam back over and I scooted it back across the desk in front of him. And I said, "Okay, now you can take the exam." And he said, "But there's stuff that you wrote on the back of it that's going to be the answers." And I said, "I didn't write anything you didn't tell me, so it's your information and you can use it." And he just looked so puzzled. And I said, "You are a deep thinker. You have the information in you. Now you've gotten it out on paper, and now you can take this test." You see, I understood that this student had particular challenges when it came to academic work. But because I understood that about this student, I could meet him where he was. I could see the need and I could help fill the need that he was having in that moment, and then allow him to be successful. That is what a good leader does. That is what an outside the box leader does. They help their followers become successful. They understand the needs of their followers and they meet them. They understand the unique gifts and challenges of their followers and they meet them there. And they don't just meet them there, they then allow them to become successful. That is the key. You don't just fill the need. You don't just see that, oh, someone might need a little bit of help because they're having some family struggles, and you provide the help. You provide the help and then you help them along the journey to become successful. You give them the tool, you show them how to use the tool, and in doing so, you're propelling them forward. There is a difference between individualized consideration and a handout. Meeting someone's need when you're doing it as a transformational leader leads to the transformation of that person. They see that you care. They see that you have seen them. They are valued, and they know that there's someone who cares. And it makes them want to succeed even more because they know they have an advocate. They know they have someone that understands their uniqueness, whether that's their creative abilities, their intellect, their interpersonal skills, whatever it might be. They know that there's someone that understands their unique challenges as well, whether that's intellectual, whether it's thinking creatively, whether it's interpersonal. And that person is not only willing to meet them there, but they're willing to help them take that step forward, to make them the leader that they have the potential to be. That is the whole point of transformational leadership. It's transforming people to become leaders of leaders. It's a multiplication of leadership. And understanding that each person has unique gifts and abilities is part of that. In a future episode of the podcast, we're going to talk to a dear friend of mine who does this every day with not only people that she leads, but with students as well. And I cannot wait for you to hear her story. But I want to leave you with one further story. Recently, I was at a conference and was talking with a friend slash colleague of mine, and this person was going through a rough patch in life. I didn't know the full story of what all was going on, but I could sense that there was something happening. After that conference, this person and I were having a discussion about how they might move forward in their particular role, in their particular leadership. And in the mentoring relationship that this person and I have, I can speak some hard truth. And so I asked this person to stand on one side of this large room we were in, and I stood on the other side, and I said, now we're just going to speak at a normal level like this. How hard is it for you to understand me from all the way over in the other side of the room? And he said, I can hear you, but I can't really understand you. And I said, okay, we need to meet in the middle. The only way we can understand one another is if we meet in the middle, but there are some things that have to happen for us to meet in the middle. And so we each named something that we needed from the other person in order to have this meeting in the middle. And I explained to this person that these things that we were expressing, that were needs that we had, were things that the other person could bring to the table. The potential within each other. The unique gifts and abilities that each one of us possessed, that when we use them to their fullest, can propel this individual to the next level of their leadership. It's amazing what can happen when a leader takes just a few moments to get to know those he or she is leading, to know their unique gifts and abilities, to know the qualities that they bring to the table that are unique to them, and when put together with other people's gifts and abilities, make a big, beautiful picture of what the organization, whether it's secular or religious, can be. You see the full potential, the full possibility for leadership and for the propulsion forward into the future. That is what it is to lead outside the box, to live outside the box. We don't just meet someone's need, a physical need, an emotional need, a spiritual need. We meet them where they are, but we propel them forward. We offer them the opportunity to be successful. So today, as you consider your leadership, and as you continue on this journey of growth as a transformational leader, as a leader that is living outside the box, outside the norms of what this world says leadership should be, I hope that you will take into consideration the unique gifts, challenges, and abilities of each person you lead, so that your leadership might be multiplied in their lives. I look forward to sharing more about individual consideration with you, and for us to continue this journey of leadership development and growth as we learn to lead and live outside the box. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Spotify. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel as well, Living Outside the Box on YouTube. Look for us there, hit the subscribe button there, stay up to date with all that's coming out of Outside the Box Consulting, and visit our website, www.outsidetheboxconsulting.org, to learn more about how you might become an outside the box leader right where you are. Until next time, have a wonderful day. I'm here for you, cheering you on in your leadership journey.